Next up, we have an incredible activist. I am so excited to introduce you all to her. It is Chrissy from Global Women's Strike.
I think I'm balanced. Okay. First of all, I want us all to give big thanks to the organisers for pulling this demo together and yesterday. Yes, so important to get 200 plus people outside Brook House near Gatwick was so important in bringing together those of us on the outside with those of us in detention. The people that were held inside were able to join the protest, and so they knew that many of us care what happens to them. We chanted, "No, Rwanda, Rwanda, no!" And I'm looking at this anti-deportation movement right here now, and it's so widespread and it is so growing. From Hastings, who do the essential beach work, welcoming those who land here, to the anti-raids groups that we heard about who are stopping people being rounded up by UK border agency, from Glasgow right down to Lewisham and even my neck of the woods, Kensal Rise. There were big marches in Manchester. There's actions against Hassockfield, the new women's detention centre proposed to replace Yarswood. We will shut that one down too. And there are doubtless many other more actions in schools and communities which we don't even hear about. So this is a widely and more lively demonstration of a movement than anything we've seen in decades. Well done! So we have faith leaders and unions, especially Mark Swatka of the PCS. Yes, he's no scab. Big out for the PCS. And even, although I'm not calling for a big out for them, but even some Tory politicians oppose this potentially illegal and definitely inhumane deportation process. You know, Priti Patel's close association with the extreme right wing of governments includes India and Israel. And they're all of a piece with her dreaming up this life-threatening plan to make it impossible for anyone to claim asylum in this country. But millions of us don't agree with her, or with the Labour Party, which frankly could have supported the movement against the Nationality and Border Bill, but were whipped. They were whipped by Keir Starmer. They were whipped to sit on their tongues and abstain. We're not surprised that Labour is complicit, given Starmer's scab record. How disgusting! This Rwanda plan is being sold as something which will stop men arriving in boats. This is not only a lie, it's a threat to all of us. People have no choice because they're fleeing for their lives. You don't get into a small boat to cross the channel otherwise. We're a women's group, and we know that women rape survivors, mothers and kids will be at risk of having their claims ruled inadmissible and being sent to Rwanda. The Borders Bill says if you delay reporting rape, you can be labelled a liar and your claim rejected. Well, what is to stop this government using the Rwanda plan against all of us? The Borders Act gives the government unprecedented powers to remove citizenship. So who's going to be safe? Windrush people can tell us how many were deported despite having citizenship. None of us are safe. In All African Women's Group and Women of Colour in the Global Women's Strike, we say we have a right to be here because we're owed for 500 years and more of slavery and colonialism. system which continues to this day. Rwanda is an example. It isn't safe. Even the Tory Telegraph says so. It reports that refugees there are barely surviving in deep poverty with scarce food, housing, medical services, barely able to afford clothes, and constantly in fear of the country's brutal security forces. Some have paid traffickers to help them escape from Rwanda. Women from the continent say that the genocidal history of Rwanda has left an indelible stain. And no doubt there are NGOs queuing up to take lucrative grants to run services. You know, we've seen that before. I'm the daughter of a German immigrant and a Nigerian immigrant who came here after the Second World War. And I know, and so do you, that when the Nazis used the International Red Cross, they had them describe Theresienstadt concentration camp as a model ghetto from which no one was reported to their death. We know better now, and that means we have to do something different. Women are protesting police sexism, racism and violence, and the refusal to prosecute rapists. More protests are going at the theft by this government of our money, the increase in poverty, and there are so many injustices that we have to protest. But will protesters be labelled as a public nuisance and have their citizenship removed too? Will we be threatened with being sent to Rwanda? The Rwanda plan is aimed at terrorising all of us. But the movement is growing, and we won't quit till we win. We say no deportations to Rwanda or anywhere, not for anyone. And we must act on that, and we must target the airlines. We must expose anyone's complicity with this. You can sign the petition, there's masses that we can do, and we must end this by any means necessary.
Go for Chrissy! No borders, no nations!
Stop deportation!
No borders, no nations!
Stop deportation!
No borders, no nations!
Stop deportation!
No borders, no nations!
Stop deportation!